Look, so I'm on slide 15 for the audience, and I'll take about whatever 7-8 minutes on this section to give you a sense of how's the industry overall, kind of exploring and moving on AI globally. So we do this annual research with about 500 odd global customers, and we try and take a sense across industries on what people are starting to look at from an AI perspective. So, like you said, about half the people on this poll were thinking about leveraging AI. The average AI maturity score globally is also in that range of about half the organizations making some sort of an effort, early stage effort, to move down the path of leveraging artificial intelligence. So no surprises there. What's important here is the forces driving AI adoption. What do people see as the key drivers for leveraging AI? They see it as a potentially competitive advantage. It is an executive-led decision, and I'm sure you guys are seeing it in your organizations. Some of the best leaders in an organization are being mandated with saying, take a look at what AI can do for the organization for its future. And the third one was of most interest to us, which is about it is a solution, potential solution to a very specific business problem or an operational issue. And at least about 20% of the audience thought of that as the third most important lever, right? So I think these are the forces driving AI adoption. And I think, almost anybody, there are various reports out there. I think the sum and substance is that most sectors, industry sectors, believe that there are immense savings that are possible leveraging AI. If you move on to slide 16.
Sorry, just the slide just moved on. Can you see it now?
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. What are the challenges? And I think this was one of the questions as well from the audience. So we see a number of challenges. First of all, AI can be leveraged as a tool and it resides on data. But we see data challenges in a lot of organizations are still operating in data silos. Despite efforts that have been made on data lakes, etc., in recent times, we still see a lot of silos of departments, units, parts of organization, subsidiaries, etc., having very different data silos. We see a lack of data expertise and infrastructure to make AI effective. Organizations are just about starting to make some effort in having a proper data organization, data engineers, data scientists who understand the concept of data and how to leverage it. There are challenges in keeping up with the AI tech explosion. And, as in everything with technology, I think AI is moving at breakneck speed. So there are challenges there in how that's being managed. Sorry, Mohit, if you just stay on that previous slide 16. Thank you. There's this whole angle of governance and regulatory oversight, right? A lot of people are concerned about how to manage AI. Do algorithms make their own decisions? What's the governance? Who's going to keep an oversight to it? How does model validation work? And how do we answer the regulators, and what are the controls in leveraging AI? So we spent some time talking about it. And of course, lack of scalability and explainability, right? It's a black box to most people. And that cannot be the case when you're trying to leverage artificial intelligence in a business environment. We can't be, resting something on a black box that takes some decisions. And how do we solve for that? So these are all globally people seeing as challenges, and I'm sure some of these chime with you. Moving on to slide 17 now. So how are global organizations leveraging it? So what are we seeing globally and where people have started leveraging AI, artificial intelligence? So first of all, if you look at it from a platform perspective, from the skill that you're needed to bring in, AI is all about leveraging big data. It has components of natural language processing, OCR. It has manifestations like chatbot. It uses a lot of machine learning and automation techniques, all built in within the platform. But if you see how globally organizations are starting to leverage it, a lot of time has been spent on the front end. So very large banks globally, like Bank of America, Bank of Montreal, etc., have been spending a lot of money upfront on leveraging AI for things like chatbots, things on the front end that are responding to customer queries, etc. After that, we see that people have just been experimenting. They're doing some Me Too experiments. They've done some pilots in some geography on some product line, in largely focusing on the front end, but not sure what to do beyond the POC, and so on and so forth. Right? There are also people completely focused on the existing IT investments, which are also happening, unfortunately, in silos. So that's kind of the reality. While people are experimenting, the adoption requirements are starting to become a little clearer. People are seeing that it is an important part of a digital agenda as well. But a lot of it has been more on the front end and largely experimented in more today. If you would move to slide 18. The one thing that, though, has become clearer now is that the what we call as the yin and yang of AI for business, in some sense, is that if you talk about purposeful AI, fundamentally it can help enhance the experience of your end customers, which is really revenue additive, or it can help you drive much better decisions, leveraging the power of data and technologies, which is fairly proportional to driving down your costs. So broadly, from an AI value proposition, think of that as either enhancing experience or driving the better decisions. And that's how we kind of see the biggest value proposition of AI, which is kind of a catch-all for sure. So that's how globally the world is seeing AI, its challenges and early stage movement, with drivers for adoption being enhancing experience or driving down decisions.
So, Praveen, I have a question here that,
Sure.
Like, what are the other drivers for, AI? Revenue, cost, enhancement of experience for the clients, and also employees, making a better decision. So what are the other drivers that for AI for the client?
So Mohit, the way we see a lot of experiments happening, right? So if you double click on the use cases that are going on globally, people are doing things, like I said, on the customer experience side. So, chatbots and, administrative support and operational support, etc. Then we're seeing some amount of use cases in early stage in the risk management space. So collections, fraud, how do you, in the financial services world, or in the procurement space on spend management, or in the insurance space on claims and underwriting. So we're seeing some early stage experiments in some of those areas. We're also seeing some ML, OCR, NLP kind of techniques in helping, in document extraction, or solving for contract extractions and so on and so forth. So if you broadly see kind of a wide spectrum at this point of time, Mohit, that's because it's very experimentative. People are being, working with either some startups or some mature providers, or trying to do something on their own, leveraging some of these technologies. And because it's very experimentative, it's a scatter plot, different things across the world. And we believe that you can solve for this and bring more stability and structure by productizing in this space. About that.
So thanks, Praveen, for the answer. So, it leads to our logical next session for the concept of AI business applications. Because when we talk about AI is a very generic term, and how we make it customizable to each vertical. For example, for banks, there are some application which you have got. So I want to just launch, another poll, which I would like the audience to respond to, is that what are your desired business outcomes from the application of AI? Enhancement of customer experience, risk management, compliance with the regulatory authorities, product service development, achieve cost efficiency, or enhance or increase sales revenue. So, Parveen, when in the meantime the audience is voting, I want to understand from you is that currently AI is being used where the organization can have the maximum benefit, whether it can be a loss mitigation for the defaults of the loans, or legal clauses in the contract reviews, So why you have picked those areas as the first port of call for AI apps?
Mohit, what we've done at Edgeworth is that we've actually picked three spaces of interest to start with. And by the way, we have a set of fairly mature products with customers on it globally, and we have about 11 products out in the market already. What we're saying is that we're picking broadly spaces like retail banking, the supply chain, or what we call as the demand chain, which is the sales part of the supply chain, and the procurement function. Why have we picked these areas? These are areas that have large customer base, large data sets, large complexities of products and applications, which make it very amenable for AI to be used to solve for them. And they have a lot of business problems to solve for. But when we pick a space, we build a cluster of products around it. So when you look at retail bank, today we have a loss mitigation product out there, but we also have a fraud product. We're not spending time on it today, but we have a product in the fraud space. We're building another product in the lending fulfillment space. If you look at the procurement space, we have a product in the spend analytics space. We spent some time on it today, but then we have other products and building in the category management space as well. So pick a space, and we pick three to start with, which have a lot of data challenges and where AI can be leveraged very purposefully to solve specific problems, and then build some cluster of products around it.
So that's a very smart move. I think solving the business problems now using AI. Instead of experimenting, we are coming to the area where the client can see an outcome also. And it is also evident from the poll, which has just been concluded. I think everybody can see the results of the poll. I think cost efficiency is still the main driver for the organization to go for AI or automation. Whatever we say on enhancing customer experience, employee engagement, quality, I think still the two main drivers are revenue and cost efficiency. Your views on this poll, Praveen and Jaspal?
Yeah, look, I see cost efficiencies and enhancing customer experience as the two biggest drivers of interest in this group. Again, representative. So when we spoke about the yin and yang, it's about if you improve customer experience, you also influence a better sales revenue outcome. But yeah, customer experience is a key part of the value proposition, and driving better decisions, leveraging the power of AI and data will help you increase your cost efficiencies beyond just an automation driver that you might have started off with today.
And Jasdeep, your views?
Yeah, totally agree with Praveen. But a point I want to add is, sometimes or not always we need to choose between these. AI today can help us in doing a fine balance of risk or cost optimization and customer experience. So we can get a bit of everything with the right level of AI and ML during the life cycle of the value chain of the process. So this is exactly the kind of problem we want to solve. But then, as Praveen had very representative across the world, we are also seeing very, very similar pattern. Some geos, they are slightly focused more on the customer experience and cost, and some geos are more focused on cost. But then, it is somewhere very representative what we see around the world.
So, Jasdeep, now I think it is your session about what are business apps. So I would like to invite you to this webinar to discuss about the business apps and what they are, what value they bring to the client, and how it's enhancing the experience and also the process improvement.
Yeah, this is Praveen's session. So Praveen.
Oh, Hi, Praveen. Sorry, Praveen, can you just throw some light and
Yeah, sure.
insights on this apps?
Sure. So look, again, in the interest of time now, I'm just going to keep it tight. So what are business apps? What are we doing at Edgewell, right? So look at all that has been discussed so far. The industry overall is challenged with leveraging AI for various reasons like scalability, data, knowledge, skill sets, and so on and so forth. It's a little scattered on where you want to use AI, whether it's customer experience or cost savings and so on and so forth. But you're also, unclear on how to scale up that whole initiative because only about 5% of this poll, as well as globally, have really started leveraging the AI meaningfully. How we're solving for that, everybody, is that we've come up with the concept of business apps, which are bite-sized apps that leverage the power of AI. A lot of leveraging, a massive amounts of structured and unstructured data that is available in your organizations. Please note the focus is also on unstructured because that's the biggest thing that gets left out. And when we build these apps, they are solving for very specific business problems. And they are pre-configured with data models that are very, very quick and easy and quick to deploy and easy to use. And that is how we're packaging the power of AI into a product for a specific business problem. And that's what we call as the business app at Edgewell. Like I said, it helps in driving decisions or enhancing customer experience, obviously driving a better process improvement, and most importantly, focused on the business metrics. So if you have a product in the fraud space, it is helping reduce fraud losses or improving your false or reducing your false positives. If there is a product in the procurement space, it's all about spend savings. So if you take away the complexity of getting an AI journey started off and package it all into a product, then everybody focuses on the outcome, which is what you want to drive, and hence enhance the adoption of AI as an initiative globally. And that is what we do in the business app space at Edgewell. If you move on to the next slide, Mohit, thanks. So what do the apps consist? They're packaged with everything that you can think of. And the reason that it's packaged is that that's how it helps reduce the complexity of implementation. So whether it's machine learning workbenches or data management technologies to ingest very vast amounts of data, just to give you a very, very small subset, right? For a small part of the portfolio of one of our banking customers, they had 4 million customers with about 100 variables that we selected that we're using the data on. And just one of those variables was of a credit report, which could have about 400 line items, right? That is the complexity. Now to ingest, cleanse, classify, and use this vast amount of data is all pre-packaged into the product in the data management technologies. It has some manifestations of AI bots and workflows and user interfaces and so on and so forth that is necessary to make it a true app. But all of that, like I said, is packaged within the product. Again, if you move on, it's about saying, so what spaces are we investing in? And like Mohit, you were asking me earlier, we have broadly picked 3 areas of financial services, the demand and fulfillment space, and the sourcing and procurement space for our investment. And when we build these, we are investing in these spaces. We're building a number of products. And we'll speak about Collect Edge a little later with Jazdeep, and I'll touch upon briefly on Procurement Insights ahead. But that's how we're investing in these spaces. This is where all our investment dollars are going, so that we make these pre-packaged AI products far more easy for people to adopt, use, and realize the benefits and leveraging the power of AI.
And can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Can I ask you one question, Praveen, that which verticals are much more, leading AI race, like financial services, government, media?
So globally, we see that there's not really a big clear leader in our research, Mohit, across the pack. But I think the financial services world has traditionally been used to the concept of, statistical modeling in all its models that are used for credit decisions or risk decisions, etc. So they're kind of a little more tuned to it. But we also see, for example, the sourcing and procurement world, which has really taken to machine learning in recent times to manage very large spend bases, to get some insights from procurement to help drive savings. They've been quick takers as well. So it's kind of broadly across. There's no real great pattern in a particular vertical, but I think the financial services has a little bit of a nose up ahead.
Okay, great. Because we see media like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Amazon. They are also using AI in a big way for targeting the consumers and getting their preferences right. But again, I think always banking has been the first to spend more money.
Yeah.
So the next slide, Praveen, do you want to cover on this?
Sure. So just taking a couple of minutes, actually, this is just a quick example, because as we saw the participant list, we felt that it was a little broad-based beyond the financial services world as well. So, in the spend world, in the procurement world, a lot of organizations and industries globally, struggle with visibility of their spend. They're challenged with, driving savings opportunities, and, how to bring the entire reason the excellence of a procurement organization is being able to procure in a compliant way, as well as driving savings opportunities. So a lot of data challenges exist, and we are leveraging the power of AI and ML for that. If you go to the next slide, Mohit, and we'll then hand over to Jagdeep, so what does so Procurement Insights is an example of a business app where all it requires as an input is the ingestion of your spend data in whatever taxonomy of classification that you have today in your spend queue. It's just data dumps that's coming. We ingest all the data, use machine learning to classify it, and give you a set of whatever out-of-the-box 200 dashboards, but more importantly, 4 or 5 key savings opportunities that are coming out of spend classification or spend per SKU and unit and so on and so forth. And all of this is being done by leveraging the power of AI and big data stacks, so that you can quickly get to the outcome instead of worrying about starting off a ML journey, as an example, from scratch, right? So that's an example of business app. We will then, we can skip this, and we go on to Mohit, the example on the financial services space with Jesse.
Procurement Insights, or?
We can keep going ahead, Mohit. Thank you.
So now we have another poll, in which we want to understand from the audience, what has been the major hindrances in applying AI in their businesses? And Jasdeep and Praveen, please also, provide your insights, because you are in the market and you interface with clients on daily basis, and you also interface with your internal stakeholders for the future of AI and how you're progressing in launching the products in AI. So what has been your experience? What has been major hindrances in applying AI at the client side?
Yeah, so let me pick up this. So what we see is, and I assume the poll also would indicate very, very similarly. Earlier poll alluded to that there are lot many experiments going on, and the outcomes are not very clear. Now, it could be related to not commercial. I will not say it is not commercially viable, but I think it may be, overwhelming nature of technology which makes organization think, this is not commercially viable, because whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, typically it is symbolic to typical jargons of AI, algorithms and stuff like that. Now, for a very business outcome oriented organization, that may be a blocker, that they may not want to invest so much in investing in technology, but they would like to use the technology to get the business outcomes. Exactly right. Probabilistic in nature, not too many use cases, and not too many use cases may be related to that. The outcomes are not very clear. But where we look at how we look at things, our view is that as a technology, we can apply in so many areas, and I will give you an example during my next 10 minutes. How do we see work, and how we can spot opportunities of applying technology which can drive business value. So those kind of problems may be empty spaces now. Maybe organization may not have thought about it, that this is a problem which could be solved by applying technology like that. So that is my view.
So now we also have a result on the screen, and it's quite distributed towards major top three thing is not too many use cases, too much investment, and probabilistic in nature, and sometimes not commercially viable. So I think it's quite equally distributed in the top four reasons. And we are also seeing as an advisory firm that too much investment and very less ROI in the current state. So I'm assuming your AI apps are designed to give a better ROI and to reduce the probabilistic in the outcome, and also giving multiple use cases to the client to make sure that the AI can be applied to the business much more efficiently and effectively.
Exactly, Mohit. So if you go to next slide, I will talk about how we are looking at this problem and the challenges which organizations face. As very clear from the poll, there's a feeling it is too much of investment required, not very clear outcomes. That is exactly the point we are trying to solve. That instead of organization investing in building their own data science skills, the technology changing so rapidly, they should be actually bothered about getting the business outcomes from the technology. Now, on the slide, if you see, in retail banking, we have picked up three areas, and a business application concept, as Praveen was explaining, it is a full functional application which will sit on top of your existing systems. It will have an entire abstraction of all the deep technology which you see on the bottom. It may be OCR, document, NLP, models, chatbots, AI algorithms, data ingestion pipes, ML creation pipes. All of those we believe should be abstracted, and an organization shouldn't bother about that. And any applications, AI-based applications which are focused on delivering business outcome directly, they should abstract all of this complexity within themselves, and they should just focus on delivering clear business outcomes. Just on the previous slide, the example here is, in a debt collection, traditionally, the prediction about the delinquency is not done, or if it is done, it is done by very legacy statistical methods, and we believe most of the organizations don't use the power of AI and what AI can do in having much more better risk segmentation and the prediction. Another example is loan fulfillment. And in some geos, fulfilling a loan takes 30-40 days. Now, and we believe that AI can help in a big way in reducing the fulfillment cycle, giving much better experience to the consumer on knowing what is happening, upfront telling him what could go wrong to the back office guys. So, and fraud is very clear example. Now going to the next slide, I just pick up one area and give you a view what kind of business outcomes the business applications are supposed to do. This example here is the typical debt collection process, and challenges are there are no early warning systems, risk segmentation are done very rudimentary basis, and collection process is also very inefficient, but they're not personalized. And what we believe that having one application which we are we are launching the application called Collect Edge, having a business application which will focus on that area and help banks reduce the delinquency rates, reduce the charge-offs, help in optimizing their call investments, and give extremely better customer experience along with better risk segmentation is the way to go. And all of this has to happen very in an abstracted way. This business application should sit on top of existing collection system, servicing system, and just focus on delivering the business value. I'll just explain how we do it. Next slide, Mohit.
So Jasdeep, like keeping in view time, we only have 4 minutes left. So do you want to summarize this slide? So we need at least 2 minutes to have asked some questions also.
Yeah. So on this slide, as I was explaining, as a business application, all that effort which typically goes in data science, data preparation, which is one of the ways organizers or in this case banks look at effort intensive, investment intensive. All that has been abstracted and automated by the business application, data analysis, data transformation, feature engineering, model building. Everything has been automated so that the models which come out of this, they are much more explainable. We can explain each and every decision which is made by model, why model has made a particular decision, and it helps obviously to risk and compliance scope. Now, if you compare, the difference between a statistical model or homegrown built model or the models which are built, by a business application, the ROI of business application models is much higher, much more quicker. Instead of spending months and months time in doing whole data cleansing, data transformation, just the business application just comes in there. You deploy all the models have data model has been defined. You just map the data to the right attribute and let application do its job. One of the case studies, we are helping a bank to reduce 29 basis points in the roll rate, which has a 10 basis point reduction in the charge-off, 10% improvement in their call avoidance. And if you look at ROI looks very decent. And applications like this pay for itself.
Thanks, Jasdeep. This we have covered Collect Aid also here for collection. I think we'll be sharing this with the audience, and people who are not able to join today will sharing with those also. So now we have got 3 minutes left. So can I cover some questions here which we have received from the audience? So this question is to both Praveen and Jasdeep. So who's leading and sponsoring the AI journey in the organization? CIOs, CFOs, head of innovation?
I think the primary stakeholder that has to take ownership to our minds is the business stakeholder. But the one driving an overarching AI initiative, we're seeing the heads of innovation, the heads of data are some of the leaders driving it. But I think the onus of adoption and focus on making it outcome oriented is best done by business and line of business leaders or business heads. And that's what we're seeing being more effective as compared to a lot of experiments going on.
I think it is in line with what we see in RPA also. It's mostly led by business, and IT is enabling them by in terms of security, getting applications, access rights, and all those things, upgrades, hosting it. No, I think that's a valid, view, insight, Praveen. And just see from your side, who is leading it? Like, what do you think?
Exactly. See, we believe that better business outcome would come if it is driven by business. Otherwise, if it is seen as a technology project or innovation project, then it becomes experimentation, and then the lifetime or the time it takes to come out of experimentation phase, articulating business value, they are slow. So obviously the data operators, they're very, very key influencer, but as Praveen said, we see much more effectiveness when it is driven by business and ably supported by the data organization and the theory organization and the rest of the organization.
So can I ask the last question is that how you're integrating AI with automation? Like you also have a tool, EdgeWork, and the other tools in the market. How are you seeing the integration of even automating the AI part, getting data from various websites, building models, getting models, generating WR, dashboards? So how are you seeing that in the market, the integration between the IT, the RPA or the automation and AI?
So, Mohit, there's two ways. I think even RPA is graduating to assisted and intelligent automation, isn't it? So I think the days of just deterministic automation are kind of done with, or most organizations have started yielding some results. So they are leveraging the power of AI to be able to make RPA more faster. But I keep coming back to saying, at some point, we will stop differentiating between automation and AI. Because when you start focusing on a business problem, which is being solved with a business app, then packaged within that are components of both automation and AI, right? So like the procurement app we were talking about, a lot of the automation about the data ingestion, classification has all happened there inside. The machine learning algorithm that helps to classify is also embedded within. So it'll start getting blurred as long as you focus on what you're trying to solve for. Then what you use, whether it's RPA, automation, workflows, machine learning, et cetera, will all be less just pre-packaged, and people don't have to differentiate to that extent.
I think that's a very valid, observation and insight, I must say, with your experience. And we are seeing the same thing. That RPA is not being taken as granted, and AI is the one which is being differentiated when we are doing automation. How we are using AI to automate, whether it's OCR or it's like you're going more specific. I think the differentiator which you have got is that you're going very specific for the loan risk mitigation, credit frauds, legal document reviews, spend analytics, spend AI. I think like or collection for debt. I think those are very, very specific, focused business problem-based AI apps. I think we can talk on this topic for long, but unfortunately we have a time constraint here. And I would like to thank you for participating in this webinar, which we are doing to educate our community and also the audience present here today, and also people who are not able to join us, they will get this deck and also the recording of webinar. I think we might have to have one more session going forward, if possible, to cover some of the case studies which we are not able to cover today. And I think we'll organize that session. But thanks again, Praveen and Jasdeep, for your insights and experience on how you're changing the world of automation into AI, and how AI are evolving to solve the specific business problems rather than hi-fi, sexy and attractive apps which don't yield any result, but you are making it specific to the business problem which yield result with higher ROI. Thanks again for your time, for your insights and experience. And I wish you all the best in your journey at Edgeverb and launching these AI-based apps into the market. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohit, and thank you for having us on this discussion forum. Absolutely delighted to be here. And hey, look, we're very conscious of your insights, particularly in the APAC market and now going global, is of much value for inputs for and forums such as this for product guys like us. So thank you for having